And we are live. Hello and welcome to PropTechBuzz, the world's only platform where PropTech products and their leaderships are promoted across the globe on a platform. And a part of our platform is also a communication medium, a broadcast medium where we share ideas, where we talk to global PropTech leaders across all the world, across the globe, and we share and we communicate and we transmit their knowledge and wisdom all across. Over the last year and a half, we have been able to talk to more than 120 PropTech founders and leaders across the globe. However, if you want to disseminate more knowledge and more wisdom, it is not possible to do it all by myself. And that's why what we have done is we have built very esteemed panel of ambassadors on our platform who are experts in their field, in their domain. And one such domain is PropTech investment products, which is led by real estate investment products, which is led by our esteemed ambassador, which I had introduced on LinkedIn just a week ago. His name is Ashank Mittal. Ashank is from India. He is the driving force behind establishment of the REIT real estate entry tokenizer community, which is aimed at fostering connections with prominent entrepreneurs who have played a pivotal role in developing solutions for real estate tokenization. So Ashank, I am going to be officially handing over this role to Ashank, where he is going to be leading this movement of having conversations with prominent and eminent names across the globe who are from the real estate investment world, who are building exciting new innovations across the world. And one such, the first person today we have is Gilbert. Gilbert is from Nakinolis Heirs Limited, and I will be handing over the reins to Ashank, who will introduce Gilbert. But before we do that, I just wanted to share with you how does the platform look like when it comes to real estate investment products. So if you go to our platform, so we go to the platform here. As you can see, our platform has 11 categories. So we have co-living and short-term rentals, multifamily homes, single-family homes. Real estate investment products is one very important product family, which is led by Ashank, as I mentioned. So this is Ashank's profile. He has a VIP profile. He is the ambassador for this category. And if you go to this category, here is where you will be able to follow this category. And in the coming days, as you can see here, you will see a lot of knowledge based articles. You will see a lot of discussion boards. You will see a lot of people following content here, leaders in this community. And we are of the opinion that this becomes one of the most thriving communities with community builders like Ashank engaging here and bringing all the global thought leaders. So just wanted to spend a minute or two asking you all to come and follow this community to gain knowledge, to gain access to all these resources and engage in conversations. With that, I will shut up today and leave the room and hand over the proceedings to Ashank, who is going to also introduce our esteemed guest today, Gilbert. Thank you so much, both of you gentlemen, and all the best for your conversations from here on.
Many thanks, Ravi, for such a long and elaborate introduction, and a very warm hello to all our audience, and a very special welcome to Gilbert. Hi, Gilbert.
Hi, Ashank. Thanks for having me.
Gilbert, the pleasure is all mine, and the pleasure is all ours. Because I come here with two identities, an identity, a very personal one, about my own enterprise, which is Bhu Wanijyak Consultancy Services. So Bhu Vanijak is basically a Sanskrit word where Bhu means Bhudevi, which is the earth goddess, and anything land is also it as Bhu. Vanijya is typically a word referred for entire category of commerce as a whole. So investments, products, all these kind of things very much are a part of Vanijya. So in our ancient indigenous language from Bharat, which world calls as India, we refer to this entire kind of business as Bhuvanija. So in that language, that colloquial indigenous language we relate with. And in this modern era, when technology has finally given a very decentralized control to very local communities, we are finding a disruptive innovation in how very ordinary people from very ordinary places are beginning to do very extraordinary things. And gone are the days where we used to look up to the first world economies alone for that, like the USA, Europe, Australia. Now is the time where we are able to see the third world countries and their indigenous entrepreneurs coming up with these extremely beautiful innovations to use technology to disrupt the routine business they have been doing. Now, I was a bit fortunate to know Gilbert a week before, and there's a very important thing which I learned, and I just cross-checked with Gilbert that Gilbert, is your business model actually equivalent to real estate brokerage? And he said yes. Now, when we are relating with this word, Gilbert, would you like to say anything to this?
Sure, as you say, we are noting a lot of changes in how business is done, and things are actually shifting from the global West. Yeah, longer days when we used to say that if you want to listen to wisdom, you have to go to, let's say, the Manchester or maybe UK or US. Now we are seeing micro Silicon Valleys. India is taking over, Tel Aviv now taking over. Things are now happening globally. Small countries in matters technology like China, we used to see them as small economies in the 70s because of innovation and actually being goal-oriented, being objective, and being actually determined in whatever you are purpose to do. Things are now changing. And this is actually a very nice paradigm shift. For us, we always believe that one or two people who are purposed and who are actually resilient enough and actually focused on delivering something, all can be done. Yes. And I really love it when we get to a point where now the people that we used to feel like we are the victims, now I feel like now we are people who can actually drive the economies. Now those
Mm.
big boys are now coming to us. They're now coming to consult, say, yeah, guys, we are now equals. Now we are sitting on the tables of decisions. Now, or not as the meal, but now as diners as well. And that's actually very pretty. Actually, as we engage, I believe that no one has the monopoly of wisdom, but everyone has something to say. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Now, this is genuinely a deep, profound dialogue that nobody has the entirety of wisdom, but we all have some,
Yes. Yes.
which is exactly what is needed in today's geopolitics.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
The fact that there has been so much polarization has actually brought us all to a situation where one conflict in one tiny little patch of the world makes it so difficult for business houses across the world to operate things as usual because there are just few people who are calling the shots.
Very true. Mhm, mhm, mhm.
So Gilbert, for our audience as such, I have only set the context that you could be summarized as a real estate brokerage services, but I know you are so much more, because every kind of a disruptive innovation which we can think of from the technology, which is via the blockchains, which is via the decentralized finance, which is via the artificial intelligence, I'm finding that those use cases have been adopted by Nakinolis Heirs Limited, and very different kind of a tech enabled solutions have been given to citizens of Kenya who have been a very strong victims of this bureaucracy which has been controlling Kenya. That one in third Kenyan is a victim of a property fraud, which is being done by the officers, right?
Mhm. Very true. Yes.
So how you have given how have you have utilized technology in Nakibalis Hills Limited to find give a pathway through this entire kind of a challenge which has been put up by the bureaucratic control. Please tell more about it.
Basically, for me, whatever, I'll always start with what motivates me.
Hmm.
What motivates me is things that affect masses. And this housing, which is a basic thing, food, the shelter, security, financing, these are things that cuts across the whole world. And having a background uh, of technology and also being a victim of property fraud, then I sat down and saw how can we try to mitigate some of the avoidable risks within the industry, because this is an industry that determines people's livelihoods in billions. The UN Habitat reports that actually the world is at risk of homelessness. The number of people going homeless is actually rising. The money is being lost. We look locally in Kenya, we look at the statistics of guys losing money out of property fraud. Just because of that rush to get a piece that you can set up your home, or just maybe rent a place, or maybe lease a place that you can make a livelihood. That is actually what makes me tick and feel like, yes, there must be a solution, however small, because our own big boy Zuckerberg always tells us ideas don't come fully formed, but you have to start. You have to start. You have to start somewhere. Like the Chinese do, they start from their bed sitters or maybe the rooftop of a rented apartment. We have to start somewhere, and opportunities will catch up as we move. Because someone, actually a very good friend of mine, a professor of entrepreneurship and innovation, always tells me that, Gilbert, actually poor basically means passing over opportunities repeatedly. You see an opportunity, and an opportunity is actually a problem in the society. You see people suffering, finding a verifiable like property. That's an opportunity. An opportunity that you can capture, deliver a solution. Actually, I always tell my colleagues and my friends that actually the biggest business is solving people's problem. It's not about just imposing yourself on people. Let's like asking money from them, but there's no problem you're solving for them. And for us, we believe that in the real estate industry, basically households have a problem. And this problem is underpinned and access and verification of these properties. Because yes, everyone is in the market to make a kill. Everyone wants to make, because every real estate broker will want to make a sell. Probably their directors or their bosses, the marketing managers are hard on them. We need to finish this project within timelines. We need to sell. And right now we are in this phase of off-plan projects. The developer has pressure. The bank is putting pressure on them. The investors are putting pressure on them. Like, yes, you guys, you got our money. You promise an ROI within 5 years, and now we're only doing 10% of the stuff. The units are only 10% sold. What's happening? And that is what drives an ethical behavior within the industry. It's because, one, it's because of greed. Another one is because of, let's say, inadequacy. Another one is because just the fear of missing out. Everyone doesn't want to miss out. Now, because of the fear of missing out, everyone will want to rush in because your friend has bought a unit. Your friend has a home. And this is actually a mental torture that affects most people across the world. You will be pressured to get into a deal just because your friend or maybe your family or your brother or your younger brother bought a parcel of land in Abu Dhabi before you. And maybe you rush, you land to this Facebook advert or LinkedIn advert from a credible, in quote, source, telling you, oh, this is verified, this is the where people are going. Then you think in your dollars. At the end of the day, after 6 months, you are served by a notice, you have to be evicted. And actually, we feel like, yes, this is now the problem that Nakinolis Heirs Limited, as a team, as a founder, working with a team, stakeholders, tech enablers in the ecosystem, so that now we develop a solution which is actually providing access of verifiable solution. As you see, our portfolio is quite huge, because Nakinolis Heirs Limited. Heirs basically means inheritance. And you don't pass a bad inheritance. Yes. As a father, you don't want to pass an inheritance down to your kids that will ruin their future. We have empires which have gone down because of questionable inheritance being passed down the generation. Now, as heirs, Nakinolis heirs, we want to treat every client, every guy who works with, every stakeholder, every employee, or every partner as an heir. And for you, handling someone as an heir means you are going to make sure whatever they're going to get from us, whatever we are going to recommend from them, actually is something more of an inheritance, something with let's say a magnitude of inheritance. That's why our key focus is verification, some authenticity. Because maybe you can jump in a little bit. I see you exclaiming.
Yes. This is a very profound thought, Gilbert, which I just realized. Deep meaning you are expressing about Heirs. That this is something which is worth being passed as an inheritance to your next generation. This is the most long-term investment any stakeholder could be looking at. This is not a 3-year, 5-year kind of a thing. This is literally a whole generation to generation passing over kind of an investment. It's like worth being called as heirs, a thing of family.
Yes.
This is, I'm quite intrigued. I'm really delighted to hear this particular part. Wow.
Yes. Yeah, because basically someone will ask us, Gilbert, how do you intend to actually get us into this?
By the way, our audience is saying there have been some comments that very inspiring perspectives, Gilbert. This is by PropTech.
Thanks very much for guys commenting. We really appreciate the positive and the insightful comments. Yeah, basically, I was on the point of maybe someone will ask Gilbert, how do you intend to make us sustainable heirs? Because now we are in this time of sustainability. We are talking about environment, energy. Everyone wants even your investment to be sustainable. And sustainability means now the heirs thing plugs in, the inheritance things plugs in. We must pass inheritance that is sustainable. If it's going to be consumed, it has to be consumed sustainably down the generation until maybe when God comes or something like that. Or maybe we move to Mars as Elon Musk anticipates us to do. So that is why we say technology has always existed and has always been helpful to man since those early Stone Age times. When people started using stones to make fire, we had the internet age, electricity came in, microprocessor came in, the internet came in, and now Google came in, made everything simple. Now we have so many, now AI, now machine learning, blockchain is here with us. Now, how do we like avail this information to people? Because I know in this age and time, the greatest resource is information, is actually data. You can, I'm sure those who missed out on the dot-com boom because of lack of information or just skepticism, just listening to negative energy, and you miss out on a very important thing. Now we are in the AI, blockchain, decentralization age. Everything is now being disrupted with technology. If you have to be a doctor, you have to be a tech-enabled doctor, because robots are now going to take up almost 50% of your job. In some worlds, even maybe 70%. If diagnosis, we have seen this. Even now in the real estate industry, we are seeing technology taking like staging of houses, virtual tours, uh, due diligence on apartments or maybe projects. We just have drones with computer vision, modules that can analyze how the project is faring, the paint, is it well done? Is the roofing of good quality? Is the landscaping well done? And that's now what technology, the ability of technology and data can bring in now, like verifiability within the industry. Because we are not only on the upstream in the real estate industry. We start from the point you want to, let's say you want to buy, you want to rent, you want to build. All these aspects capture the due diligence segment, because you want to be sure that due diligence is well done. And we have had cases where people have lost money even after getting reports, due diligence reports from the government itself. And then we ask yourself, if the gatekeepers of due diligence are failing us, how else can we police ourselves? And actually on LinkedIn, one of my good friends I saw made a post and said, the biggest source of information is that local drunkard who actually hovers around that plot or hovers around that apartment, hovers around that neighborhood. They know a lot. They may look stupid, but they may have critical information. As I said, no one has the monopoly of wisdom. You may have the best education, but there's something you miss. I believe God had a reason why he actually had to give something, like to leave some space for us so that we may be not like full, but someone might add in something. So basically, that's why we say, like, how can we now build a sustainable environment that is powered by technology, powered by people? Because for us, we are people powered by technology, not technology run by people. Yeah. Because it's the technology that is enabling human beings. Yes.
So, but Gilbert,
Yes.
I want to jump in here a bit because
Yes.
you have brought a very important topic,
Yes.
sustainability,
Yes. Yes.
uh, where the things which seem to be good to talk about and the
Yes.
things which are actually in implementation.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
we often find a very big dichotomy there, and sustainability happens to be those. Often the people who are taking high flying flights
Yes.
across continents to just give lectures on sustainability and how we should not use a toilet paper.
Yes.
While we come actually from a country where, forget about toilet papers, people would use as minimal water as possible for
Sure.
waste.
Sure. Sure.
So here, very often we get confused about what exactly people mean. And more importantly, there's always been a global South's dialogue that
Yes.
often on the name of sustainability, we are forcing certain kind of a practices which people at large don't want to take. So I'm kind of keen to jump in here and ask you to what extent people of Kenya want sustainable real estates.
That is quite good. And actually, I'll pick it from there so that I localize the experience so that now we can scale up from there. In Kenya, actually, basically the demand of housing is in the tune of 250,000 units annually. But the thing that is on the ground is actually the government plus private developers can only deliver about 50,000 units annually. That tells you the big margin. There is a huge margin, and it means that more than 2 million people actually are the verge of homelessness, actually in Kenya. Yes. And this data that can be verified, because then you actually, if we get to the, let's say mortgage, if the mortgage industry, because mortgage accounts is a good indicator of how the real estate industry is performing in a particular country. In Kenya, we barely have 20,000 mortgage accounts in a country of over 20 million adults, working adults. 20,000 mortgage accounts, that is quite sad. And it will tell
Why
you.
it is so? If I may ask, why is it so? Why is the ratio so low?
One thing I'll say is affordability, because comparing with developed countries, mortgage rates are about 3%, 4%. Then also knowledge, the scope of property knowledge in most of developing countries like Kenya is quite low. That's why one of our goal is to promote real estate, property development, investment, education on a scaling model, so that now people get to learn how do mortgages work, how do real estate investment trusts work, how do you purchase a property. You see, such kind of knowledge, because we like I said, the biggest challenge is lack of information. That's data. And when you lack information now, rumors take charge. Someone will tell you, even you don't need to do this. They'll check if you go get a mortgage, they'll get you a home or something. But someone doesn't know the whole process. Or maybe someone tells you, like, if you purchase this particular kind of property, this will happen. But then you need to get now data. Now that's why Nakinolis Heirs Limited comes in with its data-centric, data-first approach, providing insights to prospective and existing investors that, okay, guys, this is actually what's on the ground. If it's the yield, this is what is required, or what is the standard. Because someone will tell you that the yield in this area is 20%, when we know that the standard, the highest in real estate you can ever realize for an ordinary property is about 5 to 10%. So now that's why you come up with such insights. Then try to give them neighborhood insights. Tell them, okay, guys, these neighborhoods, these are the average rents, these are the average rates charged by government when you purchase property. This is the average land prices. This is the average projection for the property growth in this area, based on data, based on speculation of the developers, of the investors, the government projects coming in, so that now when you plug in as an investor, you don't just get that ordinary story from a marketer. You are getting a fully packaged due diligence report, capturing the finance, capturing the legal, and we don't do this in isolation. We believe we can't do legal, we can do technical evaluation, we can do environment. We have to plug in now stakeholders, professionals. Now, then we consolidate all this into a single report that now will deliver much more value to our prospective investors and actually our existing investors. And actually, as I told you, the scale of the need of sustainable real estate in Kenya alone is actually pegged on the accounts, the number of accounts, only 20K, about 20K mortgage accounts, 250K units in demand, but only 50K can be delivered. You see, we only have about 400 registered real estate agents serving a community of over 25,000 adults, working adults, informal employment and informal SMEs. You can imagine 400 registered realtors serving over 25 million people. That's unacceptable. And that one is what breeds instability within the industry. Because for an industry to be sustainable, we have to scale up networks, we have to scale up knowledge, we have to scale up technology. All this is what brings, and also a culture. You have to build a culture within the industry so that as techies, techies have this culture of collaboration. That's why there are tools like GitHub and the rest that helps techies, so that if someone, then the open source kind of ecosystem, where now if there's someone who built a good project, this project is now being like say adopted by someone else to build on. And we believe such an open source kind of scenario can be adopted in the real estate world, so that now we have scalability. And that's why, like recently, maybe if I can just plug.
Gilbert, now maybe I'll just to spice things up,
Yes, yes,
and because you used couple of references which is very usual for you to describe,
yes,
but
yes,
say for a global audience, not everybody may realize what it actually means.
yes,
Because you
yes,
mentioned a lot of refugees in Kenya,
yes, 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 yes,
and the whole point of sustainable real estate came in the point where it becomes that affordable housing for them, refugees.
yes, yes, yes.
And that's a very important sustainable development goal, which not many people, including in India, while we have actually quite a huge number of refugees,
Yes,
uh,
yes,
but India is a very diverse country.
yes, yes,
So,
yes,
and across countries may not even realize what it is like to have in your country such a huge number of refugees and a
yes,
very serious problem of providing them some
yes,
minimalistic housing
yes,
which is affordable and sustainable, because ultimately it can't eat too much of our resources as well.
yes, yes, yes,
Now, how to understand this kind of a problem? Because at least in any kind of a context where there's a sizable refugee crisis,
yes,
which
yes,
is especially because of the geopolitical influence which is happening across the globe, so many people may realize these kind of a problem. So let's say ki if we are trying to understand how, as far as refugee population of Kenya is concerned,
yes,
there's definitely a need of sustainable real estates.
yes,
And
yes,
these are the people who are the most vulnerable population.
yes,
How does a solution of entrepreneurs like yourself, of who are building Nakinolis Heirs Limited, as a whole, promise to them that look what you are going to build with us, trust us on it, and we are going to build it as good as that you can pass it as an inheritance to your next generation, such a vulnerable population, and you make such kind of a promise, there's a huge there's a very heavy aspect of seriousness which is being spoken out here. In this case, how exactly you feel we are developing a serious solution to these serious challenging problems of refugees?
Thanks much, Ashank, for that actually considerate and inclusive approach. And I now feel that now this conversation is even more inclusive, touching on refugees and whose vulnerabilities lie in finance, income. They have actually, they suffer socio-economic challenge, socio-political challenges. And basically, for refugees, housing, food, having income in their pockets is a big issue. And for us as Nakinolis Heirs Limited, of course, we can only tackle one thing at a time. And in this case, let's say we say housing. How can now Nakinolis Heirs Limited, through our innovative approach, now build a solution for them? Recently, actually, after analyzing the financial challenges or actually like the minimums required to get into the game, especially the commercial real estate. Actually, I'm talking about large-scale residential and commercial real estate business, or maybe just projects. The minimums are quite high. That's why now, even globally, you'll see that now there's crowdfunding in real estate, and it's actually scaling up so that someone, even with $1, can actually participate in a market which was reserved for the big boys who are doing millions of dollars. That's why as Nakinolis Heirs Limited, as from our portfolio, you can see we have quite a number of solutions, all of them tailored for a particular class of investors and people. For refugees, now we provide insight. One of it is to provide, like, to drive capital towards a particular class of people. Like recently, we have embarked on a program that will spur up rural real estate, because we believe there is a lot of untapped potential in rural real estate. You go to these rural areas and you find that good rivers, good sites that could be good for maybe like luxury hotels. Because now with Airbnbs, people want now those exclusive treats. And now through Nakinolis solutions, providing insights to potential investors, driving capital towards where it's needed more. Let's say for the case of Kenya, we have most of refugees are in northern Kenya, Dadaab, Turkana, and the UN has tried this. UN Habitat has tried this. Now driving, using, of course, data, telling, look, this is the consumption rate in these areas. This is the housing demand. Because now, actually, refugees are now not, and refugees, that actually being a refugee doesn't mean you are poor, by the way. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, people should understand this. You could be rich but still a refugee. Because let's say for this case, let's say just talk about the political issues happening across the world. We have Ukraine, there are issues. We have issues in the West Bank, Gaza, Israel, things are happening. You can't tell me that there are no rich people suffering. There are not rich people who have lost their houses. Yes. You could be having something in your bank, but you are suffering. So that doesn't mean that you could be a refugee in Kenya, but you can afford some money to actually build a home in Kenya. That's now through providing like information, telling them, yes, look, this is the information you are missing. That these programs that the government runs that maybe plugs in people like you to own homes. Because like in Kenya, as a foreigner, you can't own a property on a freehold basis. You can only own it through leasehold. So this information you may be lacking, and you may get an ethical realtor who will advise you that, no, guy, you can just own a property. Then after some time, you're told, no, this was acquired irregularly, and you lose your property. That's why now we provide this information to say, look, guy, we understand you are in this situation. You are a victim of war. It was not your problem. You came here as a refugee, but this is how you can own your dream home in Kenya. Yes. And these are the costs, and these are the right people, verified, registered, with a track record that could help you now achieve your dream. And I believe this one will now plug in inclusivity and sustainability within the real estate market, especially for the vulnerable group. As you mentioned, this case was refugees. Yes.
So now, Gilbert, now there are two angles to refugees putting their money is concerned.
Yes.
One
Yes.
that you're talking about all these premium, very well verified luxury properties like a luxury resort, which is being run by pretty good 5-star rated asset management company taking care of these assets very well. So that's a very grade A properties, which is say a generally a good investment to make in.
Mhm, mhm,
So it is like that. Yes, there's a market, and in that market, you can invest in the product, and we are providing you the best of the information to make the right kind of investments.
mhm, mhm,
But then there's another kind of engagement with the real estate because it actually happens to be the place where you live and you work. So at least a very, or if we have put up the categories where you even farm, because agriculture land is considered very differently, or where you manufacture, so industrial land is considered differently.
mhm,
But either of that, for very basic survival tendencies, somebody's real estate, which they're cohabiting with other communities, or where they are co-working with other members of the community matters.
mhm,
So say there are, from the perspective of refugees, or even in general, the more the underprivileged sections of Kenyan society,
mhm,
if they are having their own kind of a co-working spaces
mhm,
or co-living spaces or some such kind of a property where
mhm, mhm,
it's all within their own kind of a control. I see that you have a certain kind of a portal within our Finder, which talks about tokenizing real estate properties.
mhm.
Does this kind of use case qualify for what you are building, especially in the kind of a real estate context of Kenya, where so much property frauds happen? So, with these vulnerable people who are already probably the most misinformed fellows, if they are trying to create uh, among their own communities a special real, would that be tokenized by Nakinolis Heirs Limited?
Sure, 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 sure. Because as you can see, one of the solutions we have is NFT. People can NFT their property.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this actually picking up nicely in the industry. The issue of non-fungible assets, where that you can actually break down your big project or apartment into units and actually sell them as a benefit from this buzz that is within the industry. Yeah, because probably people will feel like, okay, how can this happen? Because with the blockchain technology, these are immutable. Like for us, trust is a big thing for us. And we believe that with the blockchain, now trust is guaranteed. And maybe I understand you have a background you have some basics in blockchain, or you
Yes.
also maybe
Uh,
maybe just briefly you can try to maybe just enlighten maybe our audience as I take a glass of water.
all right. So many thanks for giving me some spotlight. Yes. So I am also, while my core venture is Bhuvan Consultancy Services, but I've kind of begin my entire zone in real estate with REIT, Real Estate Entry Tokenizer Community, wherein we have been connecting with the founders who are building these real estate tokenization platforms, uh, mostly among the Indian domestic Indians, the global Indians, or the Indian diaspora, which has been across the globe, because there's a certain exemptions which NRIs have been given to invest in India, while a general foreign national can't. I think it's different in the context of Kenya. So here, these fellows are trying different kind of a models where either there's a legal organization of LLPs Or in some selective cases, government of India is also pushing for MSM REITs, which is micro, small, and medium REITs. So these organizations are building up a consortium of investors who are participating in these kind of a legal vehicles to collectively own a particular real estate project. Now, it is happening for both residential and commercial categories. But within residential, we see mostly interest in the resorts kind of a properties, which have ultimately a profit making kind of an tangent to it. So, whatever we are owning collectively, they should be profitable operations. And some of the returns from those profitable operations should pass on back to the investors. So it is much like what a classic shares of companies at large, which is the stock markets all about, is putting that kind of a principle in operation for land-based business.
Mhm, mhm,
So here these guys are starting, and I must say that India is in a very much of a pilot phase because our regulatory authorities are also making some serious changes once in a while. So the business in this entire category for even people who are using very Web 2 mechanism has been challenged on a legal front. So it is not like that they are saying a no, but they are saying ki, this is how you do it now going forward, so that we take care of public at large. So it's a very formative stage in within Indian context, the tokenization.
mhm, mhm, mhm. Cause actually that's quite insightful because if it's in the formative state in India, Kenya, it's maybe at idea stage. Yes, because in Africa, you always look at South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt. You look at Kenya, what's happening? Like South Africa is a big brother in matters real estate because their market is more developed, more advanced. You go to Cape Town and you actually feel like you now actually getting to see what real estate is like. Now the industry is more organized. They have more even startups getting funding in tunes of $1 million. Yes, that will tell you how an industry is developing. But we understand real estate has been having gatekeepers who are more redundant. They are not quite receptive to technology because, like you see, what Warren used to say, Bill Gates saved him when he introduced the computers to him. He felt like just purely doing his things on pen and paper was the best thing. But then you realize that now with disruption within the industry, with competition, with this knowledge economy, people start feeling like, okay, I guess there's new things. Someone else listed on a platform and they sold faster. Not this a traditional way of using let's say marketing or doing your things won't work. People now start plugging in. And we're now seeing a growth of proptechs within Africa in the property management aspect. In the build industry, we're now having a lot of traction in the sustainable building, sustainable material sourcing, sustainable sourcing. Yes. And we feel like as the PropTech ecosystem, we're moving forward. Because actually in Kenya, when we started back then in 2016, most people felt like, how can you actually commercialize this? And you're in an economy where people feel like house hunting or property hunting is a free thing. I just walk in. But then as the population grows, as the literacy levels goes up, as people travel to New World, people travel to New York, they see how real estate is being practiced. They go to developed worlds, they go to uh, these other worlds, they come to India, they come to New Delhi, they see startups like Oyo Homes, Oyo Rooms, I guess. I'm sure Oyo Rooms is in India, right?
Yes, yes, yes. It is
Yes,
a
because
station.
we started almost the same time. But you can see Oyo Homes is now a unicorn. We are not. It will tell you the problem is location also matters, because the audience that you are addressing. But we always tell each other as teams, we say that actually the thing is you are handling a problem that is actually in the future. You're actually solving a future for people. So you have to be patient. You don't always have to make it there and then, because it takes time. It takes time to build a solid solution as you learn, because we always say we are in the learning phase. We are learning as we actually pivot every now and then, so that we feel like, okay, this could be the best solution. As we build future solution, we also have to solve the current solutions, the current problems. Yes, you can't just say that, okay, this solution is for the future. No, but how do you now solve the current solution? That's how you see we try to pivot a number of solutions, some that will capture the future, so that now some which are actually for actually client education or user education, so that now they prepare them. Once we get to that point, they feel like, oh, there's this solution that I saw someplace. Actually, marketing gurus will tell you that no marketing effort is wasted. Everything that you put down out there will come back to you as a gift. Yes. So we always, in this scenario, like saying, guys, as much as we have a future, we're solving a problem that maybe our users may feel like it's not such a big pain for now. But then how do we solve their like current problems? Let's say for now, how do we enable our users find verifiable properties for rent, for buy? Yes, that's now where we are as a team. And we feel like as time progresses, as we plug in new stakeholders, as we now get to listen to other people, we now get to know, because PropTechBuzz especially, you go to PropTechBuzz and you see a lot of converging solutions for different places. Yes. And this one tells you that our problems as human beings are interlinked. Yes. Because you go to India, you see there's this guy called, I don't know, PropCheckup or something, doing almost a similar thing that we are doing in Kenya. And that one actually motivates us to say, like, okay, if this is what is happening in Kenya and the real estate industry is actually universal, land in India is just land in Kenya. Yes, it's just the location. A rental apartment in India is just a rental apartment elsewhere else. Maybe the only thing will change is maybe the architecture based on the culture of the places. But everything, our problems as human beings, when we came together, when we collaborate, because we really believe in collaboration, when we collaborate, you will learn what others are doing. Because I love China so much and Japan, because they always grow by looking at what others are doing. They look at Silicon Valley, they look at New York, what is happening. They feel like, okay, we can also build something like this and even improve. And whoever moves faster always win the biggest pie. But I always say that there's always a spot for everyone. The pie is 100%, but everyone has something. Even 0.01 is a stake. So you just have to identify where the pie is and how much of the pie can you buy sustainably. Because you don't want to serve 1 million users who are actually not satisfied. But maybe you have the potential of solving maybe a problem of 100K users. Because at the end of the day, we are looking at impact. Yes. What impact are we leaving on our clients, on Earth? Yes. That is very, very key to us. Yes. Maybe you can plug in with something.
Now, this is, Gilbert, I must say, especially for a podcast which is based on investments as a category.
Yes.
It's a very different
yes.
way of thinking.
Yes.
And especially thinking investments.
Yes.
So I completely understand where you're coming from, and especially for people who have observed the COVID pandemic in very intimate manner and realize that irrespective of all kind of a super fast wealth and everything, if there's a wider crisis, none of these things stay. So many people did realize that sustainability is a way to go. So people of this mindset are definitely there. But then we see world at large, which looks at investments with higher ROIs, etc., have a very different mindset. So how would you even create your investors pitch? I'm especially curious.
Basically, of course, we always say that it's not one size fits it all. We have to, when you maybe, let's say, if I may get informal a bit, if you are dating a girl from the suburbs, the rich suburbs, you don't go there dressing in pajamas. You have to package yourself nicely. Yes, you have to look, because I believe the bottom line is, what is the problem? You should never forget the problem. Why are you offering a solution? Because especially when you visit a rich man's home, he must be having a problem that may look very small to someone else, but if you tell them, they may feel like, okay, but someone has ever told me this. And there are those details that actually make the difference. So I believe that every investor, every client have their own unique requirements. Like, for the sake of a client investing $1 billion maybe in property, let's say most investors are rushing to, and I'm not marketing Dubai or something, because now we are seeing a lot of cash flow towards Dubai. And this one will tell you that, okay, this investor has a problem relevant to whatever we are offering, but then probably they need a unique packaging. Probably they just want to get insight of maybe tools to use when doing your real estate due diligence. Yes, probably they may not be having this information. Probably they just got a call from an agent, or maybe they just threw their random errands on the internet and they landed on this big opportunity. I feel like, okay, maybe this cash that is lying in my bank, I can invest in something. Yes. And that's how now we plug in, maybe give them a tailored solution. Tell them, okay, this portal gives you tools that will simplify your property due diligence, that will simplify your market research, that will actually simplify your property tours. So I believe the client or the user is actually the one who gives us instruction. When you go to one of our solution, howfinder.com, because initially we were more of a tech company providing a full suite of property management and property marketing solution, where now landlords, agents could plug in, then prospective tenants and property buyers could just come in and book, and they just interact. But then we realized the kind of market we are dealing with is a market that is client actually generated. Like, everything is client based. So you'll realize that's why now we came to plug in the model of where now we now use our portal to collect whatever the client needs. Now the client tells us, what do I need? Where do I need this? Yes. Because you realize that in Africa, especially, and this is not limited to Africa alone, we occasionally will experience blackouts, and maybe a client is looking for a place to invest in. Yes. And maybe they have this interest, because you'll not want to get to a client, maybe just for the sake of booking. Client comes to a random listing, and let's say you take them to this listing, and this listing, maybe it's in a location which is susceptible to
blackouts, water shortages. That's why now we want the client to tell us, okay, what do I need? Client tells you, yeah, this is my budget. These are the specifics that I need. Now then, how Finder comes in now to package all this for the client and delivers a tailored report for them. Yes. So the client dictates what they want. Then because that then is now how we understand the problem. Yes. But you can now start building a solution, because the biggest trap, especially for most business people, is forcing your solution onto the client. It becomes quite dangerous. The solution must originate from the user or from the client. Yes.
Wow. That's a very deep insight, Gilbert. All these customized solutions need to come from the clients. So
Yes. Yes.
rather than a one size fits all, it has to be a very, very unique journey to understand every kind of a client.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So we have normally, I think, a 1 hour kind of a scheduled
Yes.
podcast because that's
Yes.
generally taken as a thing, but
Yes.
I just felt that we barely started, to be honest. And
Yes.
I'm thoroughly loving the rich wisdom in these insights.
Yes.
And being into this real estate consultancy services myself, especially on the basis of these new novel technologies uh, in the category of dharmic real estates, which are kind of similar to a sustainable real estates, solving different kind of problems. I'm so eager to discuss more with you and learn how we can adopt similar things because we have a reasonable technical infrastructure all around our country. And I'm initiating a community of many such tech based entrepreneurs myself.
Mhm.
But very often, despite having all the solutions with us, we
Mhm.
just keep waiting and waiting. And as you said, that uh, there are people who are ahead in the race, there are people who are just looking at key how every kind of an element is put together in that pie.
Mhm. 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 Mhm.
So it's very interesting conversation which has been going around, and I'm personally quite inspired. I had come with a certain list of questions, but I think it went in a very free flowing format. And maybe we like to do another sequel to this entire dialogue at a certain point again.
Very true. Very true. Even me, I guess I always believe that you always let the conversation or maybe things flow as they flow. Because normally when you come with a closed up kind of mindset, then it becomes quite hard for, let's say, things to flow the way you think. And that's why actually this is something that is good for the startup culture. For the startup culture, everyone has an opinion. Yes. Yeah, everyone can tell the boss something, and that's how you grow very fast. But then if you are in this chain, the bureaucratic way of doing things where if the CEO has not said or if the director has not suggested, then it means that that's something that can't be done. And I've really learned this in this conversation, that actually when people are just let to express themselves, try to open up their mind, we
Mhm.
have immense potential. Yes, even the what the proponents of artificial general intelligence can't achieve. Human beings, we are quite diverse. I guess God made us in some way that no other thing can try to. Yes, even if we try, but when we come together, we can build something bigger than the pyramids. Yes, even these challenges that are within the industry, we are the people who create them. And I believe we are the same people who can solve them. Yes, yes. And I believe through collaboration, all this can be done. And I believe this is not only the start, but this is just a beginning of something bigger. More engagement, growth of networks, learning, matters business, trying to solve our common problems as businesses, as business founders, as innovators, as family people. And I believe it won't take us long for us to achieve our common problems as human beings globally. Yes, thank you.
Many thanks, Gilbert, for those thoughts, and wishing the best to Nakinolis Heirs Limited. And yeah, for our audience, if you can just write the link out here so that people who want to know more and stay in touch can get back to you.
Mhm. Okay. Well, basically, Nakinolis Heirs Limited. Just want to learn more about Nakinolis Heirs Limited? Just search Nakinolis Heirs Limited. We have managed to publish a lot of content about us. And one of our core solution is howfinder.com, haofinder.com, which is actually our core product in matters property due diligence and property marketing. If you are looking for property, you are looking for insights on property investment, and our solution is actually on a global scale. Yes, it's just we are based in Nairobi, but we are not only serving Nairobi. If you are in India, in Mumbai, you are in London, you are in New York, you are in Cape Town, and you just want insights on how you can do your property due diligence, or maybe just generally you just want to share maybe a virtual cup of coffee with Gilbert or anyone from Nakinolis Heirs Limited. We are always available. I'm available on LinkedIn. Just search Nakinolis Heirs Limited. You'll see Gilbert. I'm actually the group CEO, Nakinolis Heirs Limited. I'm always responsive. I answer all my LinkedIn messages. So, guys, I'm available and I'm always welcome. I welcome collaboration. I always come with open hands, free for anyone, yes, to engage, because I believe everyone has something to offer. That is always my actually principle. You have to listen to everyone. Yes.
So those are truly words of a very visionary leader, and I'm truly blessed that we are starting our entire stream with a visionary leader like yourself. So many thanks for sharing those words, Gilbert. It
I'm
really put.
actually very honored. I'm very honored to be the pioneer on this podcast. I really thank Ravi. Ravi, wherever you are, if you're listening, Guy, I really like this initiative. I really love what you're building. This is a big thing. You never know where this thing is going. PropTechBuzz is going far. Every day I log into my PropTechBuzz account, I see the startups that are launching, the ideas that are being shared, and I feel like, guys, an ecosystem that had been thought to lag behind, because you look at VC funding, PropTech is actually lagging behind. But the fintech guys should look at us. We are coming for them soon, but we are not just going to be an ecosystem which build up for funding, because the biggest problem within the startup world has been building startups only to win funding, which is quite dangerous. Yes, we need to stop this. Yes, we need to build startups to solve problems, not building pitch decks to convince VC funding. Because now this one kills genuine VC that will come in to fund genuine startups that are solving real problems. Yes.
True.
Actually, that's actually my words to the startup world. Guys, let us build startups to solve our why. And our why should not be only to get VC funding, VC funding should come in to help us solve our core problem. Yes.
Definitely, this is it's a very right word. I must say that it is not exactly in sync with many audience at large.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Because sometimes this entire VC created funding cycles have created a whole wave of looking at this funding based startups as the go-to carrier as a whole.
Yes. Yes.
So when that career trajectory is taken by somebody, so to what degree they will awaken to this particular perspective. But point well taken, Gilbert. This is how it is, and the whole idea of us getting into these podcasts, where we'll talk a lot about tokenization, would be precisely to filter with this perspective. Ki we are not talking about all the hype, which is just to create a short-term interest of these investors to get fantastic fundings, but actually talking about the real as problems as real as the information crisis of with the refugees which are there in these countries. So on that note, Gilbert, I'd like to end the session today, and will like to stay in touch constantly with you. Yeah, Gilbert, you are
Thank
still
you.
there?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ashank. Thank you very much, our audience. Keep tuning in for PropTechBuzz podcast. Wherever you see a poster, because I believe there are going to be more insights. This is just the beginning. We are going to have even better and bigger people on this podcast, and we'll all grow in limits and bounds. Guys, very grateful to be a guest on this podcast today. And as the CEO of Nakinolis Heirs Limited, I'll say thank you very much, Ravi. Thank you very much, Ashank, for hosting me. You are such a great host, and I can't wait to be hosted again and again on this. And I'll always honor your invites. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, Gilbert. Means a
Okay.
lot.
Okay.
All right. So signing
Goodbye.
off. Many thanks for our audience for our first show, and
Yes.
this would be on recordings.
Yes.
So we can always access. The links would be shared shortly. Thank you.
Okay. Goodbye.